What is up, Steve here? I hope you are doing well. I had to get this information out. So I've been doing some research on the home builder sentiment. You guys are not going to want to miss this. This is very, very important information pertaining not to just new construction, but real estate as a whole. This information came from two different interviews, two different video interviews, which I linked down below for you guys, as well as a CNBC article. Now, the interviews are both from the National Association of Home Builders, Jerry Howard, as well as Ivy Zellman, and both of which have their thumb on the pulse when it comes to real estate, housing, and new construction. Both of them are talking to small and national home builders on a regular basis. They're always getting updated surveys from home builders as well. So the information that's coming from these guys, both Ivy Zellman as well as Jerry Howard, are crucial to really understanding what's going on in the housing market. This is why I want to bring this to you guys. For the last several months, I've been talking, and this is before any of this started really to hit the news. I said that new construction sales would start to slow down, or we would probably start to see incentives for buyers, which we are starting to see now. And I said we will actually see new construction properties actually start to throw out price reductions, which I did another video showing price reductions for Pulte homes in a specific community between $60,000 and $100,000. Now, I believe that this is just the start of it. And again, we're going to dig into some of the details of these interviews, which is very compelling to show what's going to happen on a national level. I'm also predicting, and I hate to make predictions, but I feel like we're starting to see a lot of the signs from the last real estate recession. How we got here is different. I get it. But a lot of the signs, a lot of the similarities are going to come true. I believe we're going to see new construction communities, entire communities are going to be basically half built in some cases, where they're going to section off other parts of their land. Maybe they have the infrastructure and roads, maybe they have the plumbing coming up, but I think that they're going to abandon parts of new construction developments. I believe we're also going to see small builders go out of business as well, builders that really didn't protect themselves, whether it's being heavily leveraged or builders that are relying on construction loans from individual owners. So if those individual owners are not paying on these construction to perm loans, so it's basically you got a construction loan, that bank is going to give draws to the builder in different stages, and the builder can basically build the properties. I think a lot of people are actually going to stop making payment on those loans. Time will tell for this. Yesterday, I drove past two home sites in the Naples area, close to the beach as well. Both of these, and obviously there's other home sites that construction is moving forward. And good morning to you all. Appreciate you being here. Construction's moving forward, but these two home sites in particular, I realized that they had both floor trusses and roof trusses out in the front lawn. They were warped and they're also molded out, and that's a cause of concern for that homeowner. If those things are not treated properly, you could have mold inside your attic and everything else. Just bad news. But what I found interesting, this is yesterday on a Monday, I found that both of those home sites didn't have a single person on site, not a single soul on site. Now, for a Monday, you can expect that on a Sunday, but for a Monday, usually it's all hands on deck and people are out working and getting these jobs done. So to see those two home sites without anybody on them was pretty interesting, to say the least. Now, am I saying that they have issues or whatever the case is? I don't know, but I think that we're going to start to see new construction properties just become basically vacant, and unfortunately, they might sit like that for a long time. All right, let's dive into it. First, I'm going to dive into the CNBC article, and then we're going to dive into the YouTube interview with Jerry Howard, the National Association of Home Builders CEO, and then we're going to talk about Ivy Zellman and the interview. This is good stuff, I'm telling you guys. So in November 2020, home builder sentiment was at an all-time high of 90. 1 year ago, it sat around 80, which is still relatively high on this scale. Builder sentiment dropped 12 points in July of this year to 55, according to a monthly survey from the National Association of Home Builders. Now, when I read this, I was like, okay, now I need to find out what Jerry and his take on it as well, which is why I did the additional research to find out if he had any articles himself or any interviews coming out, which we're going to talk about. That marks the largest single month drop in the survey's 37-year history, with exception to April 2020, which I assume that was because of the start of the pandemic. But that is the largest single month drop in the entire history of this survey. The survey has been going on for 37 years. And it also stated that buyer traffic fell firmly into negative territory. All right. So, again, as mentioned, I wanted to hear what Jerry Howard had to say. And I'm going to give you some quotes, and some of it I'm going to summarize for you guys as well, so I don't take up all of your time this morning on this beautiful Tuesday. National Association of Home Builders CEO Jerry Howard says we're headed into a housing recession, and home builders are going to start holding off on new projects. He said, still hope things could turn around, but we are getting more and more pessimistic. Again, this guy travels around the United States meeting with general contractors, home builders, CEO of the largest home builders in the country, talking to them directly, talking to their sales force, their staff, their CEOs. So the guy, again, he's got the pulse on things. He goes, what I'm worried about most is throughout history, housing has led us into recessions and housing has led us out of recessions. So I believe that we're in a recession right now, and obviously housing didn't push us into a recession. And he goes, I don't think housing will lead us out of a recession, and this is dangerous territory, which I find fascinating that he worded it in that way. Again, you guys will see the videos in the description below. They're short videos. Take a look. You guys can make your own decisions on this. I'm just relaying the information here. He goes on to say, we will see builders stop building spec. Spec means basically the builders, they're building a home. They don't have a buyer lined up in contract for that specific property. And the reason in most cases is because the cost of materials and labor has just, they didn't know exactly what the price of the property would be at the end, basically at CO, certificate of occupancy. So they wouldn't lock buyers in until, maybe 30, 60, 90 days before they knew they were actually going to CO on the property. So they said that we're going to see builders stop building spec, slow down in consumer sales. And get this is interesting. Builders will pivot into larger housing remodels. I think I'm going to do another video on this because I mentioned multiple times that if you guys are in the construction business and even in the remodel business, you guys are probably going to see a dip in your business. I would probably get prepared for that. But basically, builders, in order to stay in business, they have to be building. So it's interesting that he said larger housing remodels. So I mentioned this in another video. If you're doing remodels for housing, affordable housing or whatever the case is, you might have to step your game up, go to more affluent communities to continue that remodel business, because a lot of times the rich and the very wealthy, any kind of recession or depression isn't going to affect them. So they always want to continue improving their properties as well. So I would look into that if you're in the construction field. He also said, which I think is extremely important, said get rid of regulations. This is great. Get rid of regulations on local, state, and federal level that are increasing the cost of housing. Now, if you have never built a house, there in many states, there are what you got called impact fees. You got permit fees. You got mitigation fees. So you got all these fees, and these fees could equate to tens of thousands of dollars. I think Collier County is up to like $30,000 to $40,000 before you really put a shovel in the ground. And, I think it's just robbery because, they call them impact fees or whatever, and how that house will impact the community. And I agree, it helps to build roads and it helps to build schools and all that kind of stuff. I get it. It's necessary, but damn, they collect a lot of freaking money in real estate taxes. So unfortunately, government entities and bureaucrats are not ever going to be smart with money. And now they jumped on the bandwagon of a builder rush. So they got in on it as well. And the costs are astronomical in terms of just trying to build a simple home. It's going to cost you the economies of scale in most cases will not allow you to even build a small house, because it just doesn't make sense based on that actual fees. And then don't even get me started on mitigation fees either. I mean, there's areas in Southwest Florida that the basically the DOT and different entities that had put roads in and everything else already destroyed natural ecosystems. And then they see that maybe your property has a couple cypress trees on it, but everything else is destroyed. And then they're going to go ahead and gouge you with mitigation fees. So you got to pay all these upfront fees to get rid of that cypress tree on the property, which I think is just a bunch of bullshit. All right. Ivy Zellman. If you guys like her, I mean, just comment if you guys don't mind. She is freaking good. She's a very bright woman. She really has her thumb on the pulse. Again, she researches not just home builders. She's in with national real estate brokerages or CEOs. She surveys real estate agents, mortgage brokers. I mean, they're Zellman and Associates. Their company does just really high end research, and it proves to show a wealth of information whenever she speaks, because she knows what's going on. Excuse me, real quick. Garb, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. All right, so she goes on to say the rate of change is pretty dramatic, and we are in the early innings. So basically, she kind of said it multiple times. She believes that this is just the start. I believe that as well. I think we're just in the beginning stages, and we'll talk more toward the end of this in terms of if you guys are in the market to buy or whatever the case is, maybe what you should be looking at or what you should do. Again, I encourage you guys to watch these videos as well. She called it mock speed in decline in some markets like Phoenix. She said it varies by the market. Obviously, let me kill my email here so it's not binging. As I always mention, real estate is local. It's local. So, it's some people's real estate markets, they're still over, people, multiple bids. They're still going over asking price, and that's going to happen. But more compelling is what she's about to say on a national level as well. But the chick interviewing, her name is Sarah, and maybe not chick, woman. She said 13% of builders have dropped prices last month, but it said big builders, per their earnings report, will not have to drop prices. What is going to happen with prices? And she goes on to say they're going to have to drop prices. It wasn't like, I think they're going to drop price. No, she was very adamant. They were going to drop prices. And again, I did that video on Pulte Homes dropping $60,000 to $100,000. We're going to see a lot more of that. We are seeing increased incentives. Obviously, I was saying that too, that we would see incentives. So they're going to do more of rate buy downs, more contribution to buyers' closing costs. They're going to do upgrades, a certain amount of money toward upgrades and everything else. She said we're seeing an increase in incentives, and she said price cuts are inevitable. Home builder stock likely not going up anytime soon with the Fed tightening cycle. And she goes on to say, don't fight the Fed. Right now, I mean, with inflation, everything going on, the Fed is quantitative tightening. They're not buying mortgage-backed securities any longer. Now, that is the wild card. That is the wild card I've been saying for a while, too. If those two things change, obviously we could see way more inflation if that happens. But again, I think the Fed has a commitment to fight inflation. So I don't see that happening. But if it did happen, then yes, all this could kind of reverse roll, and they could kick the can further down the road until inevitably what would eventually happen. Sarah asked, when you say a deeper plunge in the market, what are you looking at here and for how long? This is very interesting. And this is Ivy saying, she goes, we are expecting a downturn into at least 2023 and into 2024. We're expecting home prices to decline nationally in both new and existing home markets. Now, if you guys watch that video, you're going to see that it's not a matter of fact. Like, I've watched her in other interviews where she was like, it could go this way. It's likely to go this way. We're confident it's probably going to go this way. She was not, it didn't seem that this interview was, it was more a matter of fact. This is kind of what's going to happen. So you can see her tone is definitely changing in that respect. She goes on to say, and I think it's because it's all backed by really good data. We have a big backlog at the highest level since 2006 for the single family home market. I'm going to repeat that because a lot of people are saying that, we don't have inventory near 2006. We still don't have the inventory. Yeah, right now, inventory is still very, very low. There's no doubt about that, but things are happening fast. And this big backlog is obviously a lot of new construction, a lot of these new construction communities and developments. I mean, here in Southwest Florida, they have just exploded in terms of how many tracts of lands are being just plowed, and new construction has been happening over the last several years. She goes, we have tremendous amounts of builders rolling out new communities, much of which is spec. Again, we talk about that, that they're just building a lot of spec homes. And she said they will monetize that inventory. Again, much of which is spec, and they will monetize that inventory. Now, I think that some builders are actually going to convert these properties into rentals. I think that's maybe what she's saying there. And then I think a lot of other builders, especially highly leveraged builders or builders that have short-term debt or maybe even hard kind of money loans out there that are it's risky. They will just unload properties. They will unload them. It doesn't matter what the prices are. They're going to unload them, some of which will be taking losses, in my estimation. They're just going to eradicate any and all inventory that they have. So I think that's what she means by they will monetize the inventory twofold. In my opinion, some builders, if they have the capability, they will rent them out and then maybe keep them long-term, put that as part of the portfolio. I don't know. And then others are just going to do everything to get them off the books. They'll actually look at those as bad assets, and they're just going to, they will drop prices like crazy. She goes on to say, we're seeing a big increase in cancellations, and we are seeing, and this is good, we are seeing investors with short-term rentals realizing income where it was thought to be. Now, part of this channel, I did a lot of videos on investing in vacation rental properties, short-term rentals, Airbnb properties, however you want to phrase it. And I had a lot of people reach out, and they were like, Steve, can you help us out buying in Southwest Florida or buying Florida for vacation rental properties? And, we got our team here and everything else. But talking to some people, I'm like, the numbers are not going to make sense. I mean, if you have a debt position on it, the numbers will not make sense. And what I've said in about 4 months ago, I said, be careful investing in short-term rental properties, because I believe if we do, I think we're in a recession, but I think as inflation gets worse and we are in a recessionary period that could last, multiple quarters, maybe longer, people are not going to be traveling as much. Gas prices are insane, so people are not traveling as much because of that either. So I think we will see rental income decrease with short-term rentals. And she said this is going to lead to more and more non-primary sellers in the market. In Florida, we have a lot of investors that wanted to come in, buy short-term rental properties, and She says non-primary sellers, so they don't live there. And if they're losing money on them, or some people bought as vacation rental properties, and then maybe they had a certain amount of months that they would rent them out to kind of offset costs. Those are, and if they're kind of feeling the pain of their stock portfolio going down or their retirement's going down, those are going to be the first properties to start to sell off as well. So keep an eye out for those in terms of inventory hitting the market. And then lastly, she goes, I think this could be a 1 to 2 year correction, if not longer, depending on the economy. Those are some strong words right there, guys. 1 to 2 year correction, if not longer, depending on the economy. Gonna jump into some comments, questions. If you guys have anything, or give me your thoughts, or let me know if you could too, if you guys are seeing any new construction, and it's, there, it looks like construction sites have just been walked away from. Let us know in the comment section too. I'd appreciate that. And maybe whereabouts you've seen these, because I think we're going to see more and more of that. Priest Brooklyn, I live in Vermont, but I was looking at Homestead, Florida a few weeks ago. All right, so real quick, let me touch on something. I think that if you guys are in the market to buy, I get this question so much, like, when should I buy? When should I buy? And I bring it back to, and I did a video on this in terms of when you should buy, but it's all on your personal situation at hand. If you're going to buy a property, live in it, you're going to be there for a long period of time, you're not over leveraged, you've got good income and everything to satisfy any mortgage on it, then start making offers and get the right property. Don't get emotional on any one property. If you guys have the time and patience and you don't need to buy a property right now, then sit it out. As mentioned, I haven't rented in years and years, doing a lease back on this place to the end of the month. We locked in a 6-month rental in Naples to basically just get us by for 6 months and explore a different area and see what happens with the market. One other thing I want to touch on is, coming through the last real estate recession, I was licensed in 2003, broker owner of a company with my sister in 2006. And the turmoil was devastating. Again, we helped people short sale their properties and everything else. But I can tell you, I don't recall it happening so quickly. I've been probably for the last 12 months on this channel saying, like, eventually shit's going to hit the fan. And in real estate, normally it's slow moving. A friend of mine always talks about, the stock market is like being in like a 20-foot center console boat, and you can just turn around real quick. And he relates the real estate economy as an aircraft carrier, where it takes some time. But is the real estate market in this 20-foot center console boat just quickly turning and shifting and hitting waves? I don't know, but things are happening very fast. So anyway, if you guys are patient, and then, like I say, we're going to bring you guys through multiple properties that we're going to be bidding on, buying, renovating, probably renting out for longer term. And I think there's going to be a lot of deals to be had. Again, it's simple supply and demand. If supply just starts growing like crazy, then we're going to see prices across the board come down, and we're going to see a lot more distressed real estate. Also, I'm going to be doing a video on HELOC loans and how I think that could further really devastate the real estate market, because I think we're going to see there's a big uptick in HELOC loans. One of our subscribers actually sparked my interest to do some more research on it. So I got a video coming out on that too, which I think is only going to really just hurt the real estate market even further. Was lost down the road. They were building new homes and they put in all the water and some of the side streets, the electricity. Can't find real labor. Kratis is great content. Thank you very much. Now they've abandoned homes, the project. They're half-built homes there. Where was lost. Let me know where that is if you don't mind. Shalom, brother. Listening from Colorado. Mikhail, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Love the channel. Steve, your recent collaborations have been awesome. Yeah, did you guys like that with Travis? He's a good dude. He's a wealth of information too. So yeah, maybe we'll do some more with him. Listening from Michigan. Cool. Gotcha. Yeah. In New York, fleeing third quarter of 2023, though. Garp again, thank you very much. He said, I lived through 2008. To me, this seems worse than 2008. Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't think it is, but I think it absolutely is trending that way. And there's a lot of turmoil going on. So, yeah, if you guys are keeping your personal expenses low, stacking cash, keeping your credit solid, when things really start to go down in value. I did a video yesterday. George Gaiman talks about buying cheap, selling expensive. I think that's what it's all about. People sometimes have this, not you guys, but some people have this connotation in their head that, real estate will never go down. And Dave Ramsey, anyway, I don't know if you saw that video, but the advice that he's putting out there is, I think, ridiculous. And, I think he's got a lot of good advice, but some of his advice, Jesus, I don't know, guys. Time to save money and wait and watch. Priest Brooklyn. Anthony's downturn is going to make 2008 look like a day at the beach. Could be. It's the Great Depression 2.0. Mike Watson, layoffs, housing crash, auto industry crash. We were headed for depression. Yeah, I mean, did you guys see the repo market for auto loans? I mean, that has just skyrocketed. And unfortunately, the amount of stimulus money that was coming in, everybody ran out and bought brand new cars, and they're paying crazy car payments. And I had one car payment my entire life, and I still remember it was $343 a month. And after that car payment was paid off, I vowed to myself, I will never freaking have a car payment ever again. I will never finance anything that's, not going to do well for me in terms of it not being an asset. So I'm not a fan of financing anything that's not putting money in your pocket. Anise, a home staging company, residential and commercial, is blowing out all their furniture in a huge parking lot sale last weekend where I live. That's interesting. I appreciate the info on that. That's very interesting. Home staging is probably one of the first things to go, unfortunately, when the market starts to shift and people are not, staging their home with. And ultimately, it should be one of the things you want to keep because you want your house more saleable. And that'll actually help you sell your property quicker. I feel like things are happening faster because people learn from 2008. Seems like people already know the final outcome. A lot of people did learn in that market, but a lot of people never even experienced that market. So, I think a lot of people that didn't. Again, I was in that market and I was freaking naive. That's why I have this channel, because I want to make sure that people are understanding, even if, you don't like to hear what I have to say or whatever. I'm giving you the links down below. You guys do your own research, watch other people. But, I don't want people going through what we had to go through, and it sucked. It sucked. So I think a lot of people are not prepared. Andrew, I was on a waiting list with a major home builder in Cape Coral, and they told me I would not have an opportunity until Q2 of next year. They just contacted me and sent me 3 homes to check out. Hey, man, if you can wait it out. Cape Coral, one of the biggest areas for home cancellations last month. I think it was like 30%. I mean, you're talking, what, 1 in 3 properties was in contract that fell out of contract. Cape Coral, again, was named one of the hottest real estate metros in the country. That was the same last real estate recession. I think Cape Coral, we could probably see a lot of good deals in there in the future. Eugene, hi Steve, moving to Estero in a few months. Any advice? If you want to email us, info@steveinvests.com. We got a good team in Southwest Florida that could help out. Depends on where. Estero is a great area. I love Estero. And if you're buying new construction, make offers. Don't be committed to any one builder or product. Always walk away. It doesn't hurt. Don't get emotional on it. Despite what they say, and we have other people lined up, whatever. If it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. Walk away if you have the ability to. Jeffrey, Sarasota, Bradenton, can they really go down that much? 350 gets you nothing these days. That's another hot market that was named in all the freaking headlines. We saw big cancellations in those areas as well. So, yeah, I think it's a matter of time. Future 62, Dave Ramsey is definitely a clown. I agree. Priest Brooklyn, Dave Ramsey is high. Sponsors made him rich. Yeah, I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if it's the ELPs or whatever, because he's got all real estate agents and he wants to make sure that they're staying busy, but I don't know. Ronnie, Dave Ramsey being next to Susie Orman canceled. That's funny. Home builder stocks are still up. Pulte, DR Horton, Toll Brothers, but they've come down a lot. Steve, what do you think about Palm Beach County's market? Palm Beach County, I think they had 24% cancellations last month. So again, if you're not in a big rush to buy, I think you could just wait things out. Tracy, I'm building Volusia County. Your video is very informative. Do I need continue or back out? I can't make that decision for you, Tracy. But thank you very much for your support on the channel, as well as all you guys. I really appreciate it. You just, if the deal makes sense for you guys, if you have anticipation of selling in 2, 3, 4 years, I probably wouldn't buy. You might be upside down on where you paid. Are duplexes and triplexes sales being affected in this real estate market as well? Look, I think, and nobody's talking about it, and some people think I'm effing insane. I think the rent rates are going to come down. And here's where the investors get hurt. When you're buying a duplex or a triplex, let's say right now, and let's say that triplex brings, let's call it, I don't know, $1,500 a month per unit. What's that? $4,500 a month. And somebody gets a mortgage, and after all costs and everything else, that triplex, you're relying on $4,500 a month, and all your costs are, say, $4,000 a month, and you're like, hey, I got $5,000 or $500 per month spread on it. I'm just using fake numbers. And rent rates come down, they go below that. We'll see investors start to unload properties. And I think a lot of people, I mean, the average cap rate across the United States was like under 4%. It's horrible. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything that makes sense in terms of cash flow right now. So I think it's a matter of time before that comes down. And investors that bought at the top of the market, relying on certain income. It happened to us. We had a house out in Lehigh Acres. We were getting whatever it was, $1,500 a month, and we struggled to get $1,000. Eventually, we were renting it for like $800 a month. It was devastating. It really hurt. I live in Utah, where the economy remains strong, where the housing market still go down in values. I mean, if you look at what Ivy's saying, I mean, it's going to be a national thing. I said this the other day about my brother's house in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's not a cyclical area necessarily, and he's out in the suburbs outside of the university. And the values of his house have skyrocketed. So a lot of areas we're seeing, that just jumped up in value that shouldn't necessarily have jumped up in value. And it was just because of everything artificially done to our economy with low rates and buying mortgage-backed securities. So I think nationally, everybody's going to feel the effect. Hi, Courtney from Long Island, New York. Love your channel. Came down that last month looking in Central Florida. No luck, coming back down in October. Hoping for no more bidding and appraisal waiver contingency. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I would not be waiving any kind of appraisal contingency or inspections or anything like that. Again, if you have the ability to wait things out, I think we're going to see more turmoil in the real estate market. Again, just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, blah, 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 blah. We got to say that. Did you guys know that? If not, we stand the chance of getting sued or whatever. Clark County property taxes increased 3 to 8% for investment properties. I bet. I mean, that's another thing that's really not talked about too much is the weighing cost. A lot of people have been posting, people that I know have been posting on Facebook about their insurances, cost of insurance increasing like crazy. But most recently, FP&L, Florida Power and Light, everybody's bills went up like 30, 40, 50%. And people are showing screenshots of it. So a lot of people, if they have their budget and their fixed budget and everything else, and that starts to increase, we might even see more people sell their homes, move in with other people, downsize, that kind of stuff. Mike Watson, wasn't Lehigh Acres ground zero? Oh shit, this thing moved. Wasn't Lehigh Acres ground zero in 2008? It was insane. It was insane. We were doing so many short sales out there, listing short sales, listing foreclosures out there. Like every other house had overgrown grass, a bunch of homes that were not completed. Some had to be bulldozed down. That was the ground zero. It sure was. There's actually a real estate broker here locally. This lady went into vacant homes, changed the locks on them, put the electricity on, and I think she had like 30, 40, 50 homes. She did that. She didn't own them. She didn't get permission from the owners, cleaned them up, rented them out, and then found herself in prison or jail. That's a little aggressive. I guess it made the community look better though, because she actually took care of the properties. Dean, we just sold in Volusia County, had only 2 people come through this 2-story house on 1 acre. We closed on Monday, came down 35 to get it done. I think you're smart. I think a lot of sellers right now are still delusional. They're not dropping price. They are still greedy in a certain extent. A buddy of mine, house in Connecticut, finally got a offer on his house. Or he got an offer. He kind of just said no to it. And then he went back to them, renegotiated, got the price up a little bit. And I was like, that was probably the best thing you could have done, because who knows, a year from now, that thing might be down another $500,000. Fed needs to raise 20 basis points. I mean, Nora, the Brightline commuter rail is coming to the EC of Florida. I'm not buying closer than a mile away. Grizzly Adams, historically inverse relationship between interest rates and housing prices. What does this mean today? Who knows? My California properties dropped on paper over 30 to 50, 5% of our whole town was for sale. However, I didn't have to sell, so I lost money on paper. Got it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people look at their net worth and they look at what the property's valued today and the equity, but it's not a realized gain until you sell the property. It's recognized, but I don't take any consideration on that. I just look at the property, cash flow on it, and then if I'm contemplating on selling it, what the value is at that time. I just saw something. Jason Haas, I sell materials to lumberyards, wholesale in Indiana and Kentucky. Houses are getting canceled now still, but definitely seeing the signs of recession. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that go down. Do you see the cost of lumber going up or down? I think it's going down. Hey, Steve, working toward my license. Any advice? Should I go for it? Elston, if you go after listings, in all my videos in the description links, especially in this pivoting market we're going into, there's links for any real estate agents. I'd be going after listing short sales, doing BPOs, broker price opinions. I'd be going after listing foreclosures. And lastly, I would be going and trying to get property management. We're going to see, we saw this in the last recession. We saw investors that were upside down. They didn't want to sell to take the loss, so they ended up renting, and we rented these properties out for them. There's going to be a lot of unintended landlords coming into the market. So go into that. You can create residual income for yourself too on that. So if you charge 10%, you're renting one property out for $2,000. You collect $200 a month for leasing and managing of that property. Multiply that over X amount of properties, and you can develop a good amount of income from that. And eventually you sell that investor more properties, or you sell those properties when the real estate market recovers. Could be 5 years from now. Who knows? Could be longer. Last property I bought was private sale. No need for real estate agents. Cool. Texas. And trust me, I'm a real estate broker. I think a lot of freaking real estate agents are terrible. They don't know how to negotiate. They're emotional. Some of them are scandalous and lie. There's still good agents out there for sure. You just got to, if you are using an agent, interview a good amount of them. El Paso, Texas, some builders are offering 6% incentives. Mortgage companies are also offering rate buydowns. I think the rate buydowns is one of the key factors that, or key things that home builders can do with their in-house mortgage companies are doing rate buydowns for sure. Because then it comes, then the property actually makes sense because they can actually get the loan. If they didn't do the rate buydown, a lot of people would be priced out. Felicia checking in from Lehigh. What's up, girl? Rain Banks, I saw that Texas and Midwest is the cheapest homes right now. Arizona, decent price. 88 Rancid fan. Do you think the last things left unemployment is unemployment skyrocketing? Yes. Right now, people are still holding on what they. Yeah, I think unemployment is going to jump. I think we're going to. We haven't even seen devastation with the Fed increasing short-term rates yet. A lot of companies are relying on those short-term rates, basically to pay for bills and to cover salaries and everything else. So I think we're going to see mass layoffs. I think that there's a lot of insolvent companies. People call them zombie companies as well. I don't think that. I think the government, this administration, will bail out certain companies, but I don't think like 2008. Could be wrong, but with inflation where it's at, I don't think that the bailouts are going to be as big. And I think that that's good. I think businesses need to fail. There's a lot of companies being run into the ground, and they're relying on cheap debt and venture capitalist money and everything else. So I think when those businesses fail, it creates more opportunity for other entrepreneurs to come in, scoop up failing businesses. And I've been saying this on other videos. It's not just an opportunity in the future to buy cheap stocks and real estate, but even businesses where you might be able to get in with just sweat equity. Approach a business you see going out of business, talk to the owner, find out what's going on, and see how you can fit into that scenario, create a win-win situation. Samantha Bowden, what's up, girl? Appreciate you being here. Nilda. Sam, you got Cody watching? Hopefully. Nilda, Dade City, Florida, seeing whole subdivisions that were bought by investors. They backed out, now open to regular buyers. Joke question. I live in Miami. Do you see any real correction in this booming area? Large influx of people coming from different states, local investors, international investors. A lot of international money is coming in for sure. And then we've obviously seen more and more businesses come into the Miami Fort Lauderdale market. But those areas also had like 22 to 24% cancellation rates last month. So people think that, it's just everything's going to keep going up forever. And depending on, there is migrations going to different areas, driving prices up. And but I think that, we'll see a slowdown, as Ivy Zellman's saying too, nationally in majority areas. And I think Miami will be one of them too. Felicia, we're wanting to build, but I'm not a fan of the 18 to 24 month build times that we have right now. I personally have only had one property built. It was a townhome, and you know, it was a good price, so I did it. But I like properties that I can go in and fix up and buy at a deal. So that's just me. I don't see getting deals on new construction until shit hits the fan, which I think is coming. And then when builders put stuff really on sale, it could be a good time to buy a property that's already finished, so you're not having to wait 18 to 24 months. Um, Florida is way overpriced, but jobs and wages aren't sustainable. Rain Banks. Yeah, I agree. Florida is overpriced. Future 62. I won't count my house and my wealth until I own it. Even then, it's not liquid. I'm with you. If you've watched other videos on here, I'm a big believer in paying your mortgage off. I show other videos on how to pay your mortgage off where you live. I get some flack on that because people are like, oh, you can use that money to invest in other areas, but it's the foundation that you're creating for you and your family. And it's also that peace of mind mentally. So paying off a property is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And it changed my life. But yeah, it's still, even a free and clear property, it's still a liability because it costs you money to, real estate taxes, insurance, and so forth. But, and I have other videos on this house hacking, especially if you're a first time home buyer, I'd be looking at a property that you could house hack. Can you buy a multifamily property, live in one unit, rent the others out, live for free? If you can get that into your mindset, you can be wealthy in a short period of time. Bieta, I think I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, I apologize. Good morning, Steve. Thank you for the info. Again, this time in Florida too. Appreciate you being here as always. Garage, where are you at? Damn, these things. Every time we have questions, it like resets me. Sorry, guys. All right, Garage 360. What's up? Freeport, Florida here. Panhandle. Everyone is construction is talking about this house price declining. Scary moments. Beautiful Panhandle. My brother's in Santa Rosa Beach. Awesome area over there. Sheldon, Dallas, Texas. What's up? Appreciate you being here. Rain Banks, the hedge fund who bought empty homes. Are they selling now? Blackstone Invitation Homes, I've done videos working with them in the past. They have a part of their business model to just keep buying more and more real estate. But some of these other institutional investors, I think, will liquidate, especially ones that just didn't know what they're doing with financing and are relying on cheap short-term debt. So that could lead to it. Fresco Bar, glad to see you did Dan Frio's live. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a wealth of information as well, down to earth. Craig, Lakeland, Florida builders are offering lots 3 to 6% plus bonuses for realtors. They're also buying down buyer rates plus closing costs. This is happening rapidly. Thank you for the feedback. All this feedback, guys, is helping all of us because it's not just in certain areas. And I can tell you, if it's not happening in your area now, it likely will. So look at other areas and what's going on because eventually it will probably come into your area. Andrew, appreciate all your knowledge. What's your opinion of Florida Panhandle, where you just purchased a lot to build a home on, but not wanting to rush into the building? All right, look, if you guys own raw land, vacant land, and you don't have to build right now, I would say just be patient. I think material costs will come down because simple supply and demand. People are not going to be building homes. All right, that's what happened after the last real estate recession. New construction stopped. So what happened? Materials were really cheap. It was also cheap to get labor to build those homes. It was cheap to get labor. So those two things combined, and also we talked about it today in terms of Jerry Howard, the CEO of National Association of Home Builders, talking about impact fees and everything else. They actually came down as well. So if you can wait it out, the cost to build that home is going to be a hell of a lot cheaper. Rajesh, after the pending Fed discussion on rate increase, July 3rd week and all, do you think there's going to be substantial new listings? If so, what are the main drivers of such case? I mean, we've been talking about all the different reasons why I believe new inventory will hit market, and that's not even including the foreclosures that are going to come and hit market. We talked about that in the video with Travis too, in terms of pending foreclosures, foreclosure starts, and everything. Foreclosure starts slowed down, but there's still a backlog, and they haven't even come to market. So, good morning, Brian. Saul, what's happening? Sam, he's going to be a great investor, entrepreneur eventually, thanks to you. Appreciate that. Florida here, Anxious Nation. Able to get a contract in 24 hours on my expensive property in 2 weeks. Beautiful. Congratulations. Anybody that's selling right now, if you're on the fence of selling right now, I mean, if you got a plan B, then sell. I think we're at the top. I think we're already past the top of the market in Florida in most areas, but obviously every market is different. F China, always pay your house off. I'm with you. When your house is paid off, life is free, and you have money to invest in other ventures. You also have that mental time. Like, there's so many times where we just go out on the beach, sit down, chill, take a walk, think about new ventures, think about new ideas, all that. I mean, it's being free and clear on your home is, again, one of the most life-changing things that happened to me for sure. Hi from Las Vegas. Glad you're here. Philip, appreciate that. I don't know about the beer. It's a little straggly today. 1,000 Strom. I was a realtor in Cape Coral back in 2008. It sucked bad. Yep. Housing went down 50%. Land went down 90%. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are in the market for land in the future, most people are not going to be able to make money off of raw land, vacant land. So there's going to be a lot of good deals with vacant land because it's not you got to pay taxes on everything else. So people are quick to just get rid of that. That's one of the things that will be, a lot more land's going to come to market, and it's going to get cheaper and cheaper. Isaac, what's up, Steve? From Ohio, person vacation rental in South Tampa. Bradenton, Anne Marie, thinking sometime next year. Any experience in this market? Not so much Tampa, but Anne Marie Island is awesome. St. Pete Beach. Both of those areas are pretty cool. Anne Marie Island's pricey. Down in Siesta Key, another cool area there too. But St. Pete Beach, out of all the coastal areas on the Gulf side, that's probably one of the areas to get a cheaper short-term rental property. So I would take a look over there. Agree about paying houses off. Aspen Creek paid off 9 years ago. Never regret it. Peace of mind for sure. Is it better to buy land or run a down fixer upper duplex? Christian, I love existing properties because in a short period of time, you can go ahead and fix them up and get them cash flowing right away. That's why I'm not a big fan of new construction, because it takes time for that property to be built. And if you're paying loan on the construction, that's money just going out of your pocket. Unless you're cash, obviously. Craig, overall inventory is up 31% last 30 days in Polk County. Good to know. Appreciate that. Mark, once building stops, house price will rise, causing no one in building. Yep. Don't listen to some guy on YouTube. Once building stops, houses will rise even higher because no one is building. Oh, I read that wrong. I don't know about that, man. I'm gonna leave that for some other people to comment. Mark, aren't you a guy on YouTube right now? Still waiting on builder prices to drop. Some incentives are a slap in the face. I agree. They're going to be begging for you to come back into their sales center too. Anxious Nation, thank you very much for that. Greatly appreciate it. Something the builders are doing is charging high premium for lots. They're wildly expensive compared to the past. Yep. And that's what, when you see some of these price reductions come out, that was a lot in the beginning right now. Like that video I did, $60,000 to $100,000 price reductions on those Pulte homes. They had it already fixed in terms of just really grossly premium prices on premium lots. So I'm with you 1,000%. Isaac, appreciate your thoughts on the market coming in the next 6 to 12 months. I said that earlier. I'm with Ivy Zellman on this. I think it's going to be pretty bad 2023, 2024. Logan, with home prices dropping rapidly, you see good potential rental income in the futures, Florida specifically. I do. I'm waiting for it too. By the way, if you want to buy a property now, you can get deals. Not in all areas, obviously, but if you're in an area where things are flattening out, you can put stupid offers out there. I mean, get an agent that'll work with you on it, and don't be afraid of low offers. You don't know somebody's motivation until you put offers out there, is my point. So you can if somebody's asking 500, you want to offer 4, do it. And if they say piss off and they don't even counter the offer, who cares? Move on. And then you go offer a similar property, 400 on 500, and they counter, then you're like, okay, maybe there's some motivation, and, figure out what you're comfortable with on it. El Moco Taco. I see a ton of quick move up ins in South Carolina. Trying to buy a Babcock Ranch, and they laughed at me when I asked for a lower price. Good. That's fine. I mean, who cares? I'm A-okay being laughed at or thinking I'm crazy or whatever the case is. It is what it is. If it doesn't make sense for you, who cares? I was looking at new construction homes a year ago, just received an email from the builder asking if I was still interested. Yep. I mean, the amount of builders right now that are emailing us as real estate agents here locally is astonishing, with realtor bonuses, with incentives for our clients. And then also they're doing all these lunch and learns. They'll come to your office and give you a bunch of food and everything else. So they're back on it, in terms of trying to gain our business again. A year ago, they didn't want real estate agents coming into their offices in many cases. Why somebody is still saying we are not in a housing bubble and price will continue to rise? I don't know. Mark comments, you're telling everyone to sell their homes, yet you haven't started the process on so what you preach? I don't know what you mean, but I sold this thing. So I sold all my real estate, every bit of it. And I'm not telling you to sell your properties or not. I'm relaying information. And I think that in the future, what happens is real estate's going to go down on a national level. And we're already seeing real estate flatline in a lot of areas and even going down in areas. So I don't know, Mark. You tell me, buddy. Christian, thank you for being here. Trey, I want a house in Babcock Ranch, but the prices are ridiculous. Yep. Interest rates will be high until 2024 bombs away. Logan, appreciate you being here. Stony, they said no lowering at Babcock. Move on. Go to another area. Some people say to pay your house off, and some people say use the money to buy other properties was best. No mortgage, but no money to buy rentals. Mortgage. I think being free and clear on where you live is again, it's that foundation. It's that mental foundation. Mr. Kilroy, what about NAR coming out tomorrow? Could be a crap moment for relators and media. Do you think rent rates will dive? I do. I think a lot of apartment complexes that have been built, we'll see the signs out there offering a couple months for free. It'll happen, in my opinion. Massive disaster on its way. Anthony Rodriguez, appreciate you being here. All right. Wow. Almost an hour, guys. I appreciate everybody being here for sure. And if you got value out of this, I appreciate any additional comments. And I will see you guys on the next video. Take a look at that. Keep an eye out for that HELOC video I'm putting out, because I think that's going to be very interesting if people start to over leverage where they're going to pull all equity out. And if they have to sell, they'll be upside down. 2 liens against the property spells disaster. We'll go through it. See you guys. Thanks for being here.